What's up, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to talk about different things you can do in the city of Leon, Nicaragua. So if you're coming to visit Leon, these are different activities that you can do while you're here. Now I'm going to talk about things you can do inside the city and also just outside the city as well. So let's get started. So first thing you can do while you're in the city, and it's something that I like to do usually the first day when I get to a city, is just walk around. The city is super walkable. There's a lot of things you can do, but it's still small enough to where you can walk just about anywhere within the city. And if it is a little bit too far or too hot, you can pay $1 or just over $1 for a taxi ride. But different things you can see while walking around, there's a lot of old architecture, especially the churches. The churches are really neat. Each neighborhood has its own church, and the neighborhood's named after that church. The churches were built hundreds of years ago for the most part. They have lots of cool architecture and colors and history. So those are definitely cool to see as you walk through the city. Also, there's lots of different parks you can see. There's a botanical garden, and just seeing the culture, seeing the street vendors, seeing the people, the buildings, everything like that. It's cool to soak in the culture and get an idea right off the bat. Now, other things you can do are, there are some museums that are really cheap you can visit. You have a museum for the famous poet Rubén Darío. There's an art museum. There's a handful of museums, so if you just Google museums in Leon, you'll see them pop up. Also, another place to visit is the roof of the cathedral. This gives you a view of basically the entire city. It's super cheap, something you can do quickly, and just gives you great views from the top of the cathedral. Now, actually, this is something I haven't done yet. I've been here for over 8 months, and it's usually something people do like the first week they're here, so I'll definitely get around to it here at some point soon. Another fun thing to do is visit a baseball game. Now, baseball is like the national sport here in Nicaragua, so everybody is really excited about the baseball team here in Leon and just baseball in general. The baseball stadium is on the north side of the city. The schedule, unfortunately, is really bad. They don't really have a schedule online. It kind of just seems like word of mouth. So just ask around in the city and keep your fingers crossed that somebody knows when the next game is, but likely you won't know until the day before or the day of the game. But again, it's a really authentic, neat experience to go. It's super cheap. I think I paid 30 Cordobas when I went, basically $1 to get in, and then they had tons of snacks. You could get a hot dog, plantain chips, things like that for like 10 Cordobas each, basically 33 cents. Now you can obviously take tours of the city. I haven't done that through a tour guide or through a tour group, but they have tour groups that will take you through and explain the history, things like that. There are multiple markets. The Central Park is a really popular space, kind of centralized in the center of the city, so that's kind of a main point. You can walk around and see what's going on from there. Another thing that you can do in the city, it's about 2 or 3 kilometers south of the center of the city, I believe. It's called El Fortín. It's an old fortress that has lots of history. It's up on a hill, so you can see the entire city of Leon, which is really awesome. It is on the outskirts a little bit, so if you do go, make sure you go with a local or maybe with a tour group. Don't go alone. It is a little bit sketchy if you're by yourself. I went with my Spanish teacher who's Nicaraguan. I felt totally fine, but you will stick out if you're going by yourself and you are a foreigner. Now I'm going to talk about a few things you can do outside of the city. One of the main things that people like to do are go to the beaches of Las Penitas and Bonaloya. You can easily take a bus from the Sutiaba market to the beach. It takes about 40-45 minutes to get there and costs about 50 cents for the ride. Both of these beaches are awesome. They're essentially right beside each other, separated by a big rock in the middle. Both of these beaches are popular, but they're still relatively unknown to tourism. So you get a really awesome kind of peaceful experience. You have plenty of space to yourself on the beach and plenty of places to choose from, like restaurants, bars, hotels, hostels, things like that. So some other things that are really popular to do outside of the city are the volcanoes. Now, there's a handful of volcanoes, but I'll start with Cerro Negro. Cerro Negro is where you can go volcano boarding, which is one of the more well-known things here. It's probably about an hour outside of Leon, and you can go through a tour guide group for, depending on the group, I think I paid $35, but you're probably looking at $30 to $40 for that trip, depending on what you're getting. It was a really fun experience, but it was also a really quick experience. It took about 45 minutes to hike to the top of the volcano and about 30 to 60 seconds to go down on your board. So really fun experience to enjoy with friends or solo, but again, a short and sweet experience. Now the second volcano I'll talk about is Telica. You can do an overnight trip here, or you can do a sunset tour. I did the sunset tour. Basically, you get taken to the base of the volcano, you hike up to the top, you get to look into the crater, see some of the lava and sulfur, and then you go see a bat cave, which was really neat, and then basically you watch the sunset on top of the volcano. This was a little bit longer and definitely worth the money in my opinion. Getting to see that sunset was awesome, the bat cave was really neat, and getting to see down into the bottom of the volcano was neat as well. Now all this depends on the weather, so as long as you have good weather, that sunset is really awesome to see, but I do know some people who have gone when it's been cloudy, so if it is a cloudy day, maybe try to push back your tour to another day so you can see the sunset and get the entire experience. So the next volcano I'll talk about, and it was my personal favorite, is El Hoyo. El Hoyo was a 2-day hike, about 3 or 4 hours to the top, and then we camped out at the top of the volcano, and then the next morning we hiked 3 or 4 hours down to the bottom. You're carrying probably 50, 60, 70 pounds of water, food, tent, sleeping bags, things like that. And then it's a very steep volcano, so it's definitely difficult, but definitely fun if you're looking for something more adventurous. When I went, it was during the rainy season, and it was raining, it was foggy. You're supposed to be able to see a view from the top of the volcano of lots of different cities like Managua and cities that are really far away, but because it was foggy, we didn't get to see that. With that being said, it was still one of my favorite experiences just because it was an adventure. We still got to see the crater, we still got to see a lot of nature, a lot of cool things, but I'm sure it's awesome to see that view from the top when it's clear and you can see everything. Now there are a few more volcanoes that I haven't visited yet, but you can definitely check those out as well. So those are some of the things that you can do in Leon. I didn't go over every single thing, but those are some of the main things that I have done and that I have heard about during my time here. If you've been to Leon, feel free to let me know what you did in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experience. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.